Good Friday evening, everybody, and we hope you're all wrapping up your preparedness ahead of what could be quite a bit of flooding rainfall from Tropical Storm Hanna. Here's a summary of the briefing slides that we sent out earlier this afternoon and this evening. Key messages. Tropical storm warnings continue for all the lower Texas coast. There are tropical storm warnings remaining in effect inland as well from Willacy County out to northern Hidalgo, Brooks, and Jim Hogg County. These may be expanded during the evening or overnight hours, so stay tuned for that. Flash flood watch is in effect all the way from Saturday through Sunday across the entire region of deep South Texas, the Rio Grande Valley. Landfall is expected Saturday afternoon in the vicinity of Baffin Bay. That's along the Clayburgh and Kennedy County line. Big takeaway here is that confidence continues to increase for the threat of heavy rainfall and dangerous flash flooding across the entire deep South Texas Rio Grande Valley region. You can see here the expected rainfall is between 5 and 10 inches now, locally up to 15 inches. Our concern is rainfall rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour being possible at times, and that would result in floodwater depths of 2 to 3 feet or higher in poor drainage areas where the heaviest or persistent bands occur. And unfortunately, this might be a three-peat. We had the floods of June 2018, the floods of June 2019, and this is a month later, but some of the resultant impact could be the same for some locations, particularly in poor drainage areas of the Rio Grande Valley. We're also looking at damaging wind and isolated scattered power outages as a new concern. With the storm intensifying and the wind field expanding, we might see, even on the south end of the track, some gusts that could reach 50 miles per hour or higher, and that could cause issues with power outages in some locations. So be ready for that in addition to the rainfall. So here's our current watches and warnings map. We actually have hurricane warnings across the coastal bend right now, as Hanna is expected to reach hurricane force, 74 mile per hour winds, just before landfall around Baffin Bay. On the south end, we have these tropical storm warnings, but notice that there's a potential that we could increase the area of tropical storm force winds, which may trigger warnings that cover all of these counties in the Rio Grande Valley later tonight into early Saturday. So stay tuned for those potential upgrades as you follow through the evening and the overnight hours. This is a quick bar chart of threat levels. You can see we're most concerned in the higher red values of rainfall, flash flooding situations, as well as flooding of arroyos and smaller streams and potentially some minor river flooding. We are watching rainfall potential in the Rio San Juan and the lower end of the Rio Grande Basin, which means that levee unprotected areas of the Rio Grande from south of Falcon Dam over to Panitas could be at some risk. So we'll have to be watching that closely as we get later in the weekend and especially early next week. But overall, these are the threats that we're looking at, with wind picking up a little bit as a threat, and certainly going out into the Gulf for boating will not be recommended this weekend. So here's our latest satellite picture as of late this afternoon. Don't focus on the center alone here, but the action area remains in the southern semicircle well south of the center. And that action area is carrying westward with the center and is expected to reach all of deep South Texas and the Rio Grande Valley in the form of heavy rainfall and flooding, as we mentioned before. So please focus on the impacts and not just the center of circulation. So speaking of the rainfall, this is the forecast right now, 5 to 10 inches widespread across all of our area, perhaps a little less up towards Hebronville, but we're not going to get cute with that. We're really concerned that everywhere has a potential for some kind of flood situation, especially the valley with those poor drainage areas. This is looking at 2 to 3 feet of water depth. So disregard the rainfall forecast. Look at the water depth that could happen. And that may require some rescue. So we'll see how this goes as we get into Saturday and Saturday evening. That's our peak time. It'll be Saturday all day, Saturday evening, possibly carrying on into the overnight hours towards Sunday at daybreak. And this will be key for the persistent bands. If they're sitting over an area for 2, 3, or more hours, that's when we're going to look at that rapid rise in water and this 2 to 3 feet of water depth, which could be a problem for both people and pets. It may look like this. This is an example. This was the June 18th to 22nd event. in the Rio Grande Valley. This was near Los Fresnos. You can see the high water. Roads okay, but the local area here is under quite a bit of water, 2 to 3 feet in this case. And in some places where the roads are low, that could cover those roadways. So it may look like this come late Saturday afternoon and on into Saturday night and into Sunday. Our wind threat right now is for 58 to 73 mile per hour gusts, which can cause some significant damage and power outages across places like Falfurrias over to Sarita. But notice that could expand late tonight. And these areas expanding would actually extend from Port Isabel to Harlingen along I-2 to Weslaco and McAllen, and then out towards northern Starr County. So be aware of that. This could be a windy situation tomorrow. We may see more power outages than we were thinking earlier. So be ready for that. Anchor down any loose objects this evening before the strongest winds get. We could see some damage to poorly built structures, especially to roofs and siding. So anything you can do to anchor down, build that resilience, protect outside items, bring them indoors or tie them down, do that by our means this evening before the strongest winds arrive. Tomorrow morning will be a bit too late to do that. So looking at the time of arrival, the earliest reasonable time of arrival would be at daybreak on Saturday or a little later, 8 a.m. The most likely time for all these tropical storm force winds is looking at noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, kind of stretching from northeast to southwest from Kennedy County, southwestward into the mid and upper valley, but we're not ruling out Cameron County either. So remember those wind-related preparations, finish them by dark this Friday evening. Coastal flooding impacts. The surf could look like this coming up to the dunes, possibly into the dunes tomorrow, meaning Saturday. But of course, it will not be sunny like this. It's going to be raining to beat the band. There'll be quite a bit of wind as well. We're also concerned about Laguna side flooding. With the winds shifting over to the west or west-southwest, that will blow the waters of Laguna Madre onto the Laguna Boulevard side of South Padre Island. There could be up to 2 feet of water there too, because we bring the water in from the Gulf and then it sloshes back over from west to east during that period of westerly winds, peaking on Saturday afternoon. So be ready for that if you are on South Padre Island. We could see some flooding from the bay side as well as the beach side. So here are the key takeaways for preparedness for this event. At this point, you should have drainage ditches, culverts, canals, gutters, all be cleared of debris. It's getting dark outside, so we don't want to wait too long at this point. But come Saturday morning when the rains begin in earnest, it'll be too late to do that. Prepare for dangerous flash flooding. So whether we've cleared the drainage or not, there's still areas that just don't drain well. And that includes roads. So non-essential driving is not recommended late tonight through early Sunday. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. Postpone outdoor activities through the weekend. That goes without saying. The stronger showers embedded in rain bands can produce gusts up to 50 miles per hour as early as Friday afternoon. We think that's really going to come in more on Saturday. So move indoors or fasten down lightweight objects as soon as possible and before midnight this Friday night. Tides will run up and into the dunes Saturday at high tides. There's 2 high tides on Saturday. One is in the early morning around 8:30, and again in the early evening around 7:10. This could actually continue into Sunday when the winds shift to the southeast and east-southeast and blow water back onshore. So we may see some of the worst conditions coming in at high tide on Sunday morning. So don't let your guard down. The tropical storm conditions will be over, but the surge of water may continue. So stay tuned for briefing updates, whether we're doing this on recording or doing this as a slide deck to be sent to y'all. We'll always be on the air at weather.gov/RGV. Continue to watch the Hurricane Center website at hurricanes.gov. And we're also on social media. We're at NWS Brownsville, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll be on Facebook and Twitter constantly. We have dedicated staff, 1 to 2 people, that will be working social media right through the heart of this event. So we are here to serve. We want you all to be safe. Take it easy out there, and let's get through Tropical Storm Hanna together. Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you all soon.